Ed here. Okay, this has been an issue that's been in the news a lot, in the newspapers, and talked about by some of the candidates right now running in the Democratic primary, like Bernie Sanders, is the popular vote and doing away with the Electoral College. Well, let me give you some information here. Um, First, with the popular vote, people that argue in favor of the popular vote, they always bring up, okay, every vote counts, so it's one person, one vote, and it's going to be the total number is going to determine the president every 4 years. Such as like each state does a popular vote when they determine who their governor is, and that's what they would like. And this argument has even come back not too long ago, especially with the Bush and Gore 2000 election, and in the 2016 election, it came about again as Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but Donald Trump got the electoral vote and won the Electoral College, which counts. Um, and now Bernie Sanders, for example, is using this as a part of his platform. He wants a popular vote. Okay, so that's the argument and the theory behind a lot of people that want the popular vote. Now, with the Electoral College, I used to feel this way back in 2000 about the popular vote till I've done a little research and found out what the Electoral College is about and why it's important to have it for the presidential election. First off, if we went to a popular vote here in this 2020 election coming up, and let's just say it's Bernie Sanders versus President Trump, okay? What would happen? If this was changed, it takes a constitutional amendment change to make this happen. Um, you would only have 4 states and 2 major cities that would determine our president every 4 years, and that would be California, Texas, Florida, and New York, along with the city of Chicago, Washington, D.C. They would determine every 4 years who the president's going to be. So, consider this. States like Wisconsin, North Carolina, Colorado, even my state of Michigan, it wouldn't matter. Wouldn't matter one bit what presidential candidate you want. Every 4 years, those 4 states and 2 cities will determine the outcome. So, let's say someone says, well, that's not a concern. I still feel one vote, one person, that's the way it should be. Think about this now. Let's say it comes down to Bernie Sanders and President Trump for our election here in November, okay? I'm not going to say who I'm in favor of, who I don't like, but I want to make this point and drive it home to you. Do you honestly think Bernie Sanders or President Trump are going to campaign much in these states like I just brought up as an example in Colorado and Wisconsin and North Carolina, Kentucky? No, because they will know when if the constitutional amendment was made and it went to a popular vote, that you would be seeing President Trump basically in Florida and Texas, and Bernie Sanders in California, New York, these 4 states, in Chicago and D.C. That's where they would campaign and really be fighting for the votes. So you're not going to see much of presidential candidates anymore going to a lot of other states like I just mentioned around the country and campaigning, because they know where the election is going to be won in these 4 states and 2 cities if you changed the system and went to the popular vote. It's something to think about. I do have a solution I will bring up in a second, but I want to clarify this, okay? Because it's been very misleading. It's a big reason I'm doing my video. Okay, you'll hear a lot people say, well, the American people officially don't elect the president. It's the Electoral College that does it in December after the election that makes the official vote and elects our president. And on surface, that is true. But what you're not being told is, take my state of Michigan, I believe it's 16 electoral votes, okay? Those 16 electorals, whatever candidate we elect, let's say it's Bernie Sanders versus President Trump, and Michigan's a battleground state. Okay, let's just say Bernie Sanders, for example, wins Michigan in November. The Democrat Party, who Bernie represents, okay, those 16 electorals are handpicked by the Democratic Party. And same thing if President Trump won Michigan, they would be Republican handpicked electorals. And these people that are picked by either party have been lifelong party members. It's very, very seldom that you're going to have an electoral for that state who's picked by the Democrats or Republicans go against them. So it's very, very misleading. Yes, the American people do not officially elect the president, okay? But these electorals are with the party that the majority voted for. So pretty much when you go to your state and let's say I'm in Michigan and Michigan goes Bernie Sanders, okay? There are going to be 16 Democrat electorals. Bernie is going to get those 16 electoral votes when the official vote gets casted in December. One last thing I'll like to touch on is a possible solution that the mainstream media is in the Associated Press is not talking much about. Is two states, the state of Maine and Nebraska, in our electoral college are not winner-take-all states, like here in Michigan. And for example, in 2016, the state of Maine had 4 electoral votes, okay? So Hillary Clinton got 3 of them, and President Trump got 1. And what this I like, because all states would still be important to play in the presidential election, but it wouldn't be such a disfranchised vote. What I mean by that is take a Democrat in Tennessee or Republican in, let's say, California. That Democrat in Tennessee already knows the Republicans are getting that state, so I'll show up the vote, but it's already going Republican. And vice versa, that Republican in California who shows up is going to vote for President Trump knows it's all, okay, I show up, do my civic duty and vote, but it's still going Democrat. But if you make it so we have the Electoral College, but it's not a winner-take-all system like Nebraska and Maine, that would be very interesting, and I think this would be a great compromise. However, as just my opinion, if this were to be done, it should be all 50 states. So certain states aren't selected or picked, to balance in favor of one party or the other. But I would be all in favor of it. If it's all 50 states, keep the Electoral College, but let's not make it winner take all, where it's a percentage of the vote. So we get a percentage of the popular vote, and that'll determine that how many electoral votes go to each candidate. For example, in 2016, you can look it up on Google if you want. President Trump got 1 electoral vote, and Hillary got 3 out of the state of Maine that had 4 electoral votes. So it's a possible solution that isn't being talked about. But I just want to do this video because there's so much in the Associated Press and a lot in the mainstream media, people just ramming on about get rid of this Electoral College, it's not a good thing, and it needs to be 1 vote per person. Well, there's a reason why it's in place, just like I said. I want to say thanks for watching the video here on popular vote versus Electoral College. I'm doing this video also to help raise some money for the DAV, Disabled American Veterans, a great charity. I'll have the information and link below this video. If you'd like to make a donation, just click right below my video. I'll have the website link to make a donation to the DAV. Terrific charity.